Good morning, my dear friend. The dawn is breaking, and the first light of the day stretches gently across the horizon. The air is cool and still, carrying with it a sense of sacredness that belongs only to these early hours. This is the moment before the world stirs, when the noise of daily burdens has not yet returned, and when your heart has the best chance to hear the quiet whisper of eternity. You are awake now, and that in itself is a gift. Each breath you take is proof that God has preserved you for another day, and within this dawn lies the possibility of renewal, of change, and of breakthrough. Perhaps as you hear these words, you carry the weight of yesterday as struggles. You may remember lying awake in the night, thoughts racing, fears pressing hard against your chest. You may be facing loss that seems unbearable, a betrayal that cut too deep, or a mountain of responsibilities that feels impossible to climb. There is a woman I once knew who would sit at her kitchen table in the quiet dark of morning, staring at unpaid bills and feeling the ache of loneliness after her husband's passing. She confessed that some mornings she wanted to hide under the covers and not face the day at all. Yet it was in those quiet mornings, with tears on her cheeks and trembling hands folded on the table, that she began to whisper words of prayer. Slowly, those whispers turned into steady conversations with God, and though her circumstances did not change overnight, her heart began to shift. She found strength she did not know she had. She discovered peace that did not make sense in the middle of her storm. Her story is not unique. Each of us, in different ways, comes to these early hours with our own burdens. You may be the one wrestling with fear for your future, or with grief that has stolen your joy, or with anxiety that refuses to let you rest. These struggles are real, but they do not have the final word. The early morning carries within it a spiritual invitation. When you rise before the sun, you are stepping into a sacred space where heaven and earth feel closer, where your spirit becomes more sensitive, and where prayer has a special kind of power. It is in these hours that faith is forged. Faith does not deny the reality of pain, but it insists that pain is not the end of the story. Faith looks at the mountain and declares that it will move. Faith acknowledges weakness, but leans on the strength of God. Prayer is the breath of that faith. Prayer is where you place all that is heavy into hands greater than your own. Prayer is not a ritual to check off, but a lifeline, a conversation that brings you into the presence of the one who sees you, knows you, and loves you. As the first light grows brighter and the shadows retreat, I want to invite you to take these moments seriously. Let the stillness of the morning cradle your heart and make room for God's voice. Do not rush. Do not hide behind distractions. This is your time to step into an encounter that could shape your entire day, perhaps even your entire life. You may not feel ready. You may not feel strong enough. That is the beauty of it. You do not need to be. All you need is willingness. All you need is to open your heart, even if it is trembling and broken, and allow God to meet you in the quiet. In the journey ahead, we will walk together through prayers that touch every corner of human experience. Sorrow and gratitude, weakness and strength, silence and hope, surrender and breakthrough. Each chapter will unfold like the stages of a sunrise, guiding you from the darkness of night into the brilliance of day. Along the way, you will find words to express your pain, your longing, your faith, and your joy. You will discover that prayer is not only about asking, but about becoming whole, becoming free, becoming anchored in the love of God. So, my dear friend, I invite you to prepare your heart. This is not just another morning. This is not just another prayer. This is a sacred journey, and it begins here, in the hush of dawn. Take a deep breath. Let go of the weight of yesterday. Believe, even if only with a fragile hope, that today can be different. Together we will step forward, and together we will lift our hearts. The Lord is near, and He is ready to meet you in these precious hours. Dear Heavenly Father, as I open my eyes in the quiet of this early hour, I come to you with a heart that feels both heavy and expectant. The world around me is hushed, and yet inside me there is noise, questions, and lingering fatigue. I feel the weight of nights when sleep did not come easily, and the ache of mornings when hope seemed faint. But here I am, awake again, and that itself is proof of your mercy. My breath is steady, my heart is beating, and you have given me another dawn to seek you. I confess that sometimes I rise with numbness rather than joy. My thoughts are scattered, my spirit feels dull, and I wonder if my prayers will even reach you. Yet in this stillness I sense that you are near, waiting not for my perfection, but for my honesty. I do not have to hide what is broken inside me. I do not have to pretend that everything is light when shadows still linger. You see me as I am, in my weakness, in my silence, in my longing. That truth brings me comfort, for I know I am not invisible to you. Father, in these first moments of the day, I lift my eyes beyond my fatigue. I imagine the morning light slowly unfolding, stretching across the horizon, painting the sky with colors only you can create. Just as the world awakens, I ask you to awaken my soul. Stir my heart from slumber, breathe new life into what has grown weary, and remind me that even in the smallest beginnings, there is hope. As the earth turns from night to day, let my spirit turn from heaviness to awareness of your presence. I think of how Jesus rose while it was still dark to meet with you. He chose solitude when the world was quiet, and in that hidden place he sought your face. If he needed those sacred hours, how much more do I? Teach me, Lord, to value these quiet mornings not as empty rituals, but as encounters with the God who loves me. Let these minutes before the rush of the day become the anchor of my soul, the place where I find strength before stepping into all that awaits. Father, I admit there are times when I feel like a letter sealed too tightly. Words unspoken, emotions locked away. But you know how to open what I cannot. You know how to read what I struggle to express. You know how to hear even the sighs that escape my lips without forming into words. That is why I come before you now, because even in my silence you understand. Even in my weakness you are strong. Even when I cannot feel you, you are here. As I sit with you in this dawn hour, I ask that you shift my perspective. Help me see that this is not just another morning. This is a new page, a fresh start, chance to notice what I once overlooked. Let me not stumble blindly through the hours ahead, but open my eyes to the gift of life, to the beauty of small graces, to the quiet ways you whisper love into my day. Remove the fog from my mind, clear away the heaviness, and let me walk forward with clarity and peace. I bring before you the numbness that has dulled my heart, the weariness that has settled deep in my bones, and the doubts that cloud my faith. Take them, Lord, and in their place, plant seeds of new awareness. Teach me to notice the sound of birdsong as a reminder of your creation. Teach me to notice the rising sun as a promise of new mercies. Teach me to notice the faces of those I love as reflections of your image. In every detail, awaken me to the reality that you are here and you are good. Father, I also confess that I am quick to forget the simple miracle of being alive. I rush into the day with worries and plans, overlooking the fact that each breath is a gift from you. Forgive me for treating life as ordinary when it is extraordinary. Forgive me for waking with complaints rather than gratitude. Today, I choose to see this moment differently. I choose to notice the breath in my lungs, the strength in my body, the chance to start again. These are not small things. They are reminders of your unfailing care. As the morning grows brighter, I sense a stirring within me. It is faint, but it is real, a quiet assurance that I do not rise alone. You are with me, walking through every shadow, standing in every silence, guiding me toward the light. Let that assurance carry me today. Let it shape the way I think, the way I speak, the way I move through the hours ahead. When numbness tries to settle back in, remind me of this dawn, this prayer, this choice to turn my eyes to you. So here I am, Father, at the threshold of a new day. I may not have all the answers, and I may not feel strong, but I have you, and that is enough. I do not ask for perfection. I ask for presence. I do not ask for certainty. I ask for courage. I do not ask for ease. I ask for strength to notice you in every moment. Meet me here, in the stillness, and let this morning be the beginning of something deeper than I have ever known. Father, as I linger in this stillness after lifting my eyes to you in the first light, my heart continues to speak what words cannot fully capture. I feel the weight of what I carry pressing deeply, not only on my shoulders, but within the hidden places of my soul. The morning is quiet around me, but inside, there is unrest that I cannot silence. Yesterday left its marks, and the days before it left wounds that have not yet healed. I bring them here because I know I cannot hold them on my own. The tears I have swallowed, the fears I have pushed aside, the loneliness that returns when the world goes dark, all of these I offer to you now. I have tried to pretend at times that I am stronger than I am, but in this hour I choose to be honest. My body feels tired, my spirit feels worn, and my voice trembles as I speak. Yet I believe you do not turn away from such weakness. Instead, you welcome it. You call me to come as I am, without disguise, without pretense, without rehearsed lines. That truth brings both relief and fear relief because I do not need to perform before you. Fear because it means allowing myself to be seen completely. Still, I come, for I trust that your love is greater than my brokenness. Father, I confess that there are nights when I wake with thoughts that will not let me rest. The anxieties march through my mind, reminding me of unfinished tasks, of uncertain futures, of relationships strained and fragile. I replay conversations I cannot change, mistakes I wish I could undo, and worries about tomorrow that weigh down today. In these restless hours, my heart cries silently, longing for peace but finding none in my own strength. And yet, in the tender quiet of this morning, I choose to let those cries rise to you instead of keeping them hidden. I picture my soul as a vessel cracked and fragile, yet still able to be filled. My prayer is like pouring out the remnants of stale water so that you may cleanse and refill me with something fresh. I no longer want to carry bitterness disguised as resilience, or fear disguised as caution. I want to release the disguise and be real before you. Let my raw cries be the beginning of healing. Let my trembling honesty become the soil where new courage can take root. Father, as the light slowly stretches across the sky, I feel the contrast between the world awakening with beauty and my heart struggling with heaviness. I do not want to be left behind in shadows while everything around me sings of life. Lift me, Lord, from the pit of despair. Place my feet upon steady ground. Teach me that it is not shameful to cry, not weakness to admit that I cannot carry everything alone. The weary cry is not a failure. It is a signal that I need you more than ever. I bring to you the specific burdens that drain me. I think of the uncertainty about what lies ahead, of the responsibilities that exceed my strength, of the disappointments that have carved deep lines in my heart. I lay them here because I know you are not overwhelmed by them. While I am stretched thin, you remain abundant. While I grow weary, you remain unshaken. While I falter, you remain faithful. These truths do not erase my pain, but they remind me that I am not alone in it. In this sacred hour, I cry not only for myself, but also for those I love who struggle silently. I cry for the friend who hides their sorrow behind a smile, for the child who feels forgotten, for the parent who labors unseen, for the stranger who wonders if anyone cares. My soul aches for them, and I bring that ache to you as well. Let my prayer rise on their behalf, that they too might feel seen, heard, and held. Let my weariness be woven into intercession, so that even in my weakness, your strength might touch another. Father, when I cry out in this way, I long to believe that you not only hear, but also respond. Remind me of the times you turned sorrow into laughter, fear into courage, emptiness into abundance. Let those memories be like lanterns in the darkness, guiding me toward trust even when the road is hidden. I may not yet see how you will redeem this heaviness, but I choose to believe that you are already at work. I cannot demand instant relief, but I can ask for your presence. Stay close to me in this hour, nearer than my breath. Let me feel your nearness like a gentle hand upon my back, like the steady rhythm of a heartbeat reminding me that I am alive, that I am yours. Teach me to cry without shame, to weep without despair, to pour out without fear of rejection, for in your presence, even my tears are gathered, even my sighs are known. So I sit here, Father, with my weary cry laid bare before you. It is not polished or eloquent, but it is real. It is all I have to offer. And I trust that it is enough. I surrender the weight I cannot carry. And I ask that in return you grant me the grace to stand again. Let this cry be the beginning of strength, the turning of weakness into faith, the quiet reminder that even when I feel undone, I am never abandoned. Father, as my weary cries fade into the stillness of this morning, I find myself drawn toward memory. The tears I lifted to you were real, and the weight remains heavy. But within my heart there are also quiet echoes of the times you have carried me before. My soul, though tired, begins to search through the years for the moments when your hand reached into my life with a grace I did not deserve. I cannot ignore the truth of those moments, for they remind me that even in seasons of silence, you have always been present. I remember times when the path seemed impossible, when shadows stretched longer than the light, and yet somehow I emerged on the other side. There were days when fear seemed to swallow hope, but then a door opened, or a word was spoken, or strength appeared that I knew did not come from me. Those memories are not accidents. They are markers along the road of my life, pointing me back to you. They testify that your faithfulness has never failed, even when I doubted, even when I questioned, even when I was slow to trust. Father, in this early hour I do not want to forget. I do not want to rush into the day without pausing to recall how you have sustained me. I think of mornings when provision came unexpectedly, when healing arrived slowly but surely, when comfort embraced me through a friend's voice, when peace settled into my heart without explanation. Each memory is like a stone placed on the altar of my soul, a reminder that you have met me before, and you will meet me again. There is something holy about remembering. It shifts the focus of my heart from what I lack to what I have already received. It pulls me away from despair and roots me in gratitude. I do not minimize the pain of the present, but I refuse to let it erase the evidence of your past goodness. Just as the dawn breaks new each day, so too does your mercy renew itself. Yesterday may have been filled with trials, but it was also filled with glimpses of your hand, and I choose to hold those glimpses close. I recall the laughter that returned after seasons of sorrow, the opportunities that came when doors seemed permanently shut, the strength that rose when I thought I could not take another step. These memories are not distant stories. They are living testimonies that whisper courage into my present weakness. They remind me that my story is not defined by defeat, but by a God who redeems, restores, and renews. Father, help me not only to remember for myself, but also to pass these memories along. Let me tell them to my children, my friends, my community, so that when doubt creeps in, there is a chorus of reminders that you are faithful. Let me not hoard the stories of your goodness, but scatter them like seeds, that others may find strength in the recollection of what you have done. In the remembering, hope multiplies and faith grows stronger. As I linger in this reflection, I picture my life as a journey across a river. The memories of your faithfulness are like stepping stones, scattered across the water. Some stones are small, barely enough to hold my weight, yet they carried me. Others are broad and steady, moments when your hand was unmistakably guiding me. One by one, these stones form a path, and though I sometimes forget to look back, they remain solid beneath me, proving that I have never crossed alone. There were times, Father, when I thought the night would never end, yet the morning always came. There were valleys where I thought I would not rise again, but your hand lifted me. There were losses I thought would consume me, but even in grief you sowed seeds of new life. Remembering these things does not erase the ache of today, but it wraps my heart in reassurance that you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. I choose this morning to rehearse gratitude instead of despair. I choose to look upon the evidence of your love instead of the lies of fear. I choose to name the ways you have carried me, sustained me, forgiven me, and blessed me. These are not small details. They are the foundation upon which I stand when the ground feels shaky. They are the anchor that steadies me when the waves rise. Father, let this act of remembering be more than nostalgia. Let it be fuel for the faith I need today. Remind me that if you have done it once, you can do it again. Remind me that yesterday's mercies are not expired, but multiplied each morning. Remind me that the God who healed, who provided, who comforted, who delivered, is the same God who listens to my cries now. So I rise with memory in my heart, not to dwell in the past, but to carry its lessons into the present. I rise knowing that the shadows may still linger, but the light of remembrance shines against them. I rise declaring that the same God who has been faithful will remain faithful, and that is enough to take the next step into this day. Father, as I hold the memories of your faithfulness close to my heart, I also recognize that remembering does not erase the struggle of today. Gratitude steadies me, but there are still battles that rise in the quiet hours. Battles that leave me restless and unsettled. I find myself caught between faith and fear, between confidence in your promises and the reality of obstacles that loom large before me. It is in this tension, in this wrestling of spirit, that I come to you now. I think of the long nights when I have tossed and turned, unable to quiet my thoughts. I have spoken words in prayer, yet they felt heavy, as if they fell back upon me instead of lifting to the heavens. My heart has asked questions that seem to have no answers. Why does relief not come sooner? Why do certain wounds remain unhealed? Why does the night feel so long before the dawn finally breaks? These questions linger, and though I know you are sovereign, my soul aches under the weight of waiting. Father, I remember Jacob who clung to you through the darkness, refusing to let go until the blessing was given. His struggle was not easy. His strength was tested. Yet in that encounter his very name and destiny were changed. In my own way, I feel the same pull. I too am clinging, refusing to let go, even though my arms grow weary and my spirit feels stretched. I do not wrestle against you in rebellion, but I wrestle with my own doubts, my own impatience, my own fear that I may not endure. Yet even in this, I sense that you are shaping me, pressing me deeper into dependence on your grace. This wrestling, Father, is not something I would choose, but I see that it has purpose. It strips me of illusions that I can manage everything alone. It forces me to confront the fragility of my own strength. It teaches me that persistence in prayer is not wasted, even when answers are delayed. Every sigh, every tear, every groan of my spirit becomes part of a conversation with you. And though the night is long, the promise of dawn keeps me holding on. I confess that there are moments I want to surrender, not to you, but to despair. I want to let go of hope, to stop trying, to accept defeat as final. But then something within me stirs a quiet reminder that you have never abandoned me. Not once. That reminder urges me to keep wrestling, to keep pressing through, to keep knocking on the door that only you can open. I realize that faith is not always a gentle song. Sometimes it is a desperate grip, a refusal to release even when everything in me is tired. Father, as I struggle in this place, I ask for the strength to continue. Strength not only to endure, but to believe that there is blessing hidden within the struggle itself. Teach me to see that transformation often comes in the darkest hours, that endurance grows when comfort is scarce, and that intimacy with you deepens when I lay my most painful cries before you. Let this wrestling not be in vain, but let it mark me the way it marked Jacob, changed, renamed, reshaped by the encounter. In these early hours, when the world is still asleep, I bring the full force of my questions to you. I will not pretend that they are small, for they cut deeply. I wonder about the future, about the dreams that seem delayed, about the relationships that feel fragile, about the battles that rage inside my mind. I wonder if I will ever be free from certain chains, if joy will fully return, if the answers I seek will ever be clear. I bring all of these to you, refusing to hide them, refusing to let them grow in the shadows. And in bringing them, Father, I realize that wrestling with you is itself an act of faith. For I would not wrestle if I did not believe you hold the blessing I long for. I would not cling if I did not trust that you have power to change my story, even as my questions echo. I believe you are listening, even as my body trembles. I believe you are holding me, even as the night stretches long. I believe the dawn is nearer than I imagine. So I stay here in the struggle, not to prove my strength, but to discover yours. I stay here because I know that in the end, it will not be my grip on you that saves me, but your grip on me that never fails. I stay here because I believe that when morning breaks, I will rise different than I was before. I stay here because even in the wrestling, I am not forsaken. Father, as I rise from the wrestling of the night, I turn now to the strength that only your presence can provide. The struggle has been real, the questions heavy, but as the morning deepens, I sense that you are not only the one I wrestle with, but also the one who shields me, even as I lay bare my doubts and cling through the silence. I discover that your arms are not only a place of contention, but a place of protection. I see now that prayer in these early hours is more than a plea, it is a fortress where I am surrounded, covered, and kept. I know what it is to feel vulnerable, exposed to fears and to unseen threats. The world carries its own dangers, and the unseen realm presses in with shadows of discouragement, temptation, and despair. But when I rise early to call upon you, something shifts in the atmosphere. It is as though invisible walls are built around me. Not walls that imprison, but walls that guard. Within these walls, my heart is safe. Within this fortress, I am held beyond the reach of forces that seek to undo me. Father, in these quiet hours, I feel the nearness of your protection in ways the daytime rush often hides. When I pause before the world awakens, I notice how the silence itself becomes a shield. How your presence fills the space like a covering. I may not see the armies of angels, but I believe they are stationed around me. I may not hear the sound of their defense, but I trust that no weapon formed against me will succeed. These prayers, whispered in faith, rise like watchmen on the walls, standing guard over my soul. There have been times, Lord, when I felt attacked in ways I could not explain, thoughts that weighed me down, fear that rose without reason, sudden storms that threatened my peace. In those moments, I realize now, I needed the fortress of prayer. It is not just a routine, but a defense. It is not just words, but a shelter. It is not just discipline, but survival. When I come before you at dawn, I am not only seeking blessing, I am building walls of safety around myself and those I love. I think of families, of children still sleeping, unaware of the prayers that rise for them. I think of homes that stand because unseen prayers have been spoken in early hours, forming a hedge of safety against harm. I think of lives preserved because someone chose to stand watch before the sun appeared. Father, let my prayers this morning be that kind of shield. Let them reach beyond me, stretching over my loved ones, over my community, over those who do not even know they are being prayed for. Let the fortress of my prayer become their refuge too. As the light of morning strengthens, I feel a shift inside me. The cries of weariness are still real, but alongside them now is a deeper assurance. I know that I am not defenseless. I know that I am not unguarded. I know that the fortress you provide is stronger than anything that rises against me. The world may shake, but inside this shelter, I remain steady. The storms may rage, but within these walls, I hear your whisper louder than the winds. Father, let me never underestimate the strength found in this quiet devotion. Teach me to rise consistently, not only when I feel desperate, but also when I feel whole, so that the walls remain standing strong. Remind me that each prayer is like a brick laid carefully into place. Each cry of faith another layer of defense. Each whisper of trust another stone in the wall. With each dawn, the fortress grows stronger, and within it, I find peace. There are dangers I cannot see and battles I do not recognize, but you see them all. You know the arrows that fly in secret, the traps laid in silence, the storms forming on the horizon. I cannot fight them in my own strength, but I can hide myself in you. I can rise early and call on your name, and in doing so, I take refuge under your wings. It is not fear that drives me here, but faith. Faith that you are my shield, my stronghold, my defender who neither slumbers nor sleeps. Father, Let this fortress not make me withdrawn from the world, but strengthened to face it. Let the security I find in you empower me to walk boldly into the day ahead. Let the assurance of your protection free me from hesitation, so that I live not in fear, but in confidence. Let others see not my walls, but your presence radiating through me, so that they too may long for the safety only you provide. So I stand in this dawn moment, my heart steady within your walls. I may face trials as the day unfolds, but I step forward knowing I am covered. I may meet challenges that stretch me, but I walk forward knowing I am guarded. The fortress of early prayer surrounds me, and within it, I find not only safety but courage to live this day fully in your presence. Father, as I stand within the safety of the fortress that prayer builds, my heart begins to expand with something lighter, something that rises like the morning breeze. It is gratitude, subtle at first, like a soft breath, but growing stronger as I remember how much I have been given. The struggle of the night, the weight of fear, the wrestling of questions, all these are still part of my journey. But now they are joined by a gentler voice inside me, a voice that whispers thankfulness. I cannot help but notice that gratitude is itself a form of strength, a shield that guards me from despair, a song that steadies my steps. This morning I pause to name the gifts that too often go unspoken. I thank you for the breath in my lungs, steady and sure, a rhythm that reminds me of life itself. I thank you for the beating of my heart, for the ability to rise, for the chance to begin again. These simple things, overlooked in the rush of the day, are treasures beyond price. Without them, nothing else would matter. With them, I have reason to lift my voice in praise. Father, gratitude shifts the atmosphere around me. Where there was heaviness, there is now a lifting. Where there was restlessness, there is now calm. Where there was fear, there is now courage. Gratitude does not erase the challenges I face, but it changes the way I see them. It reminds me that I am not empty-handed. Even when my prayers for breakthrough are not yet fulfilled, I already stand surrounded by blessings too numerous to count. Each one is evidence that you are with me, that you have not abandoned me, that your goodness is woven into every moment. I thank you for the people in my life who carry me with their love, for family who support me, for friends who encourage me, for voices that speak truth when my own grows faint. I thank you for the beauty of creation that greets me each morning, for the light that touches the earth, for the sound of quiet that refreshes my spirit, for the colors of the sky that remind me of your creativity. I thank you for the moments of laughter that break through sorrow, for the meals that nourish me, for the shelter that keeps me safe. Each one is a gift, and I choose today to see them not as ordinary, but as sacred. Gratitude also humbles me, Father, because it reminds me that every good thing I hold is not earned by my own effort, but given by your hand. I did not create the sunrise. I did not shape the breath that fills me. I did not summon the strength that carried me through yesterday. All of it is grace, undeserved and freely poured out. This truth softens my pride, teaching me to depend on you, not only in times of desperation, but in times of abundance as well. As I breathe this gratitude in and out, I realize that thanksgiving itself is prayer. It is not an afterthought or a polite gesture, but a declaration that my life is sustained by you. It is a way of opening my heart, of acknowledging that I am held by hands greater than mine. Gratitude turns my eyes away from what I lack and toward what I already have. And in that turning, I find peace. Father, let this spirit of thankfulness not fade as the day grows busy. Let it become the undercurrent of everything I do. Let it shape the words I speak, so that they bring life and encouragement. Let it guide the way I see others, so that I honor them instead of judge them. Let it influence the way I face difficulties, so that I respond not with bitterness, but with faith. Gratitude, once awakened, can transform the entire rhythm of my day, and I ask that you keep it alive within me. I thank you for the times when you answered prayers I'd nearly given up on, and for the times when the answer came in ways I did not expect. I thank you for closed doors that protected me, for delayed answers that taught me patience, for challenges that deepened my trust. Even in what I did not understand, your hand was at work. Looking back, I see it more clearly now, and I cannot help but give thanks. Father, I want my life to breathe gratitude the way lungs breathe air constant, unceasing, essential. Teach me to pause in small moments, to whisper thank you when light filters through the trees, when a kind word is spoken, when a burden is lifted, when peace enters unexpectedly. Let thanksgiving become as natural as breathing, so that even when storms arise, the air of my soul remains filled with praise. So in this morning hour, as the fortress of prayer stands strong around me, I lift not only cries of need, but also songs of gratitude. I breathe in the gift of life. I breathe out words of thanks. And in this holy exchange, I discover that my heart is lighter, my spirit steadier, my steps more secure. Gratitude has become my strength, and in it, I am ready to walk forward into the day. Father, as gratitude rises from within me like a gentle rhythm, I feel my soul being drawn to another place of longing. Thankfulness has opened my eyes to what is already present, but beneath the layers of gratitude there remain aches that I cannot ignore. My body feels its frailty. My mind wrestles with hidden anxieties. My heart still carries bruises from wounds not yet healed. It is here, in this moment of honesty, that I turn to you once more, asking not only for shelter or strength, but for the touch that restores what is broken. I picture myself standing beside a stream that flows quietly in the early morning. Its water is clear, moving steadily over stones, catching light as it passes. I imagine bending down to let the water run across my hands. Cool and refreshing, that stream becomes for me a picture of your healing presence. Just as water washes away dust and renews the earth, so I believe your spirit washes over the hidden places of my life, cleansing, restoring, renewing. My heart longs to step fully into that stream, to let it carry away pain and bring new life where weakness has settled. Father, there are parts of me that ache in silence. Sometimes it is the weariness of my body, the strain of carrying more than I should. Sometimes it is the heaviness of emotions I cannot easily name. Sometimes it is the memory of losses that linger like shadows. I bring them all to you now, trusting that you are the one who heals not only wounds of the flesh, but also the unseen fractures of the soul. You are the great physician, the one whose hands formed me, the one who knows where the hurt lies deepest. I do not ask only for the removal of pain. Though I long for relief, I ask also for wholeness, for balance, for restoration that reaches further than comfort. I ask that you mend what has been torn, that you rebuild what has been weakened, that you revive what has grown dull. Healing, I have learned, is not always immediate. Sometimes it comes as a slow unfolding, as steady as dawn spreading its light. And yet, whether it comes swiftly or gradually, I trust that when it is your hand at work, the outcome will be complete. Father, I bring before you the fears I have carried about health, the thoughts that stir in quiet hours when I wonder if my strength will be enough for what lies ahead. Teach me to rest in the assurance that my body is held by you, that every breath is sustained by your care. I place into your hands every weakness, every diagnosis, every symptom, every unspoken worry. Let your healing stream flow through me, touching what medicine cannot reach, soothing what words cannot explain, strengthening what fatigue has worn thin. I also lift to you the places in my mind that need healing. There are thoughts that circle endlessly, worries that replay without pause, regrets that echo from the past. These are wounds too, though they do not show on the surface. They drain my strength and dim my joy. Pour your healing into those places. Father, renew my mind so that I may think with clarity and peace. Replace anxious patterns with steady trust. Replace heavy memories with gentle hope. Replace confusion with calm assurance that you are in control. And in my heart, Father, I ask for your healing touch as well. I bring to you the disappointments that still sting, the betrayals that left scars, the losses that ache like empty spaces. These are burdens too heavy to carry alone. Only your love can reach into those deep places, soothing what human words cannot. Heal me from bitterness before it takes root, from despair before it consumes me, from fear before it steals the joy you have given. Fill the empty places with your presence, so that my heart beats with wholeness again. Father, I know that your healing is not meant only for me. I think of those I love who are suffering, those who wake with pain, those who live with silent struggles, those whose spirits are weary. I lift them into the stream of your mercy, asking that your restoration would meet them where they are. Let them feel the same touch of renewal I seek. Let them taste the same peace I long for. Let healing ripple outward, reaching homes, families, communities, reminding us all that you are the God who makes all things new. As I linger here in prayer, I imagine the stream widening, flowing freely, unstoppable in its course. That is how I picture your grace, Father, always moving, always reaching, never running dry. And just as water carves new paths through stone over time, I trust that your healing shapes me slowly but surely, creating new strength where there was weakness, new life where there was barrenness, new beauty where there was brokenness. So I stand in this morning hour, not denying the wounds I carry, but offering them fully into your hands. I choose to step into the healing stream, to let it surround me, to let it cleanse me, to let it bring restoration that is deeper than I can understand. I believe that as I rise from this place, something within me will begin to shift, not because of my effort, but because you, Father, are the one who heals, the one who restores, the one who breathes wholeness into all that I entrust to you. Father, as I step from the healing waters of your presence, I feel a stirring within me that goes beyond relief and restoration. It is something lighter, something brighter, something that awakens like the first song of morning birds after a long silence. It is wonder returning, a sense of awe that I once carried easily, but that has been dulled by weariness and worry. Healing has softened the H, and now my heart opens wider, ready to see you not only as the one who repairs what is broken, but as the one who fills life with mystery and beauty that leaves me amazed. There was a time, Father, when I noticed small things with joy, the colors of the sky, the laughter of children, the stillness of night pierced by a single star. Somewhere along the path, those details blurred into background noise, overshadowed by burdens too heavy. But now, as gratitude has reshaped my heart and healing has begun its work, I feel that sense of childlike awe stirring again. I remember that life is not only about surviving the hard seasons, but also about marveling at the gifts scattered all around me. Wonder, I realize, is not luxury. It is nourishment. Without it, my soul grows dry and my vision narrow. With it, my heart stretches beyond fear, beyond routine, into wide spaces where faith breathes freely. I think of how the prophets spoke of creation, declaring your glory, of how the heavens are not silent, but filled with your handwriting. I long to live with eyes open enough to notice, with a spirit tender enough to be moved, with a heart wide enough to be undone by your greatness. Father, I ask you to restore in me the ability to be astonished. Let me wake each day not as though it were ordinary, but as though it were a miracle. Let me see in the rising sun, not just light, but the reminder that you paint the sky new every morning. Let me hear in the voices around me, not just words, but echoes of your image. Let me taste, touch, feel, and breathe with renewed appreciation for the ways you weave glory into the fabric of life. Bring back to me the awe that makes prayer feel alive, that makes scripture sing, that makes worship flow not from duty, but from delight. Remind me that I am not walking through a dull and mechanical world, but through a creation that pulses with your fingerprints. Each leaf, each cloud, each stream of light carries whispers of eternity, and I want to listen. Father, let this wonder not be shallow or fleeting, but rooted in you. Do not let me confuse awe for distraction, or beauty for escape. Instead, anchor my wonder in the truth of who you are, so that what amazes me leads me deeper into trust, deeper into worship, deeper into joy that cannot be stolen. Let wonder become the bridge that lifts me above discouragement, that renews my vision when it dims, that teaches me again to live not in fear, but in anticipation. I think of the moments in the stories of faith when people were struck silent by your presence, Moses, before the burning bush, Isaiah beholding your throne, the shepherds gazing at the sky lit with angels. Their lives were changed not only by instruction, but by awe. Let me too be undone in holy wonder, even here in the quiet of dawn, with no spectacle but the stillness that hides you near. Let my ordinary morning become extraordinary simply because you are here. Father, I confess that I have often walked through days with eyes lowered, consumed by lists and worries, blind to the beauty before me. Forgive me for trading wonder for distraction, for overlooking miracles because they felt too common. Reawaken in me the vision to see as a child sees, to marvel at what is simple, to treasure what is small, to delight in what is freely given. Restore to me the joy of discovery, the awe of being alive, the astonishment that you, the maker of all things, choose to walk with me as wonder returns. Let it reshape how I live. Let it soften my tone, so that gratitude flows into kindness. Let it brighten my outlook, so that hope shines even in dark places. Let it steady my heart, so that fear loses its grip. Let it overflow, touching others, so that they too may awaken to the beauty of life with you. So in this sacred morning, Father, I breathe deeply and let all wash over me. I look the day ahead not with dread but with amazement that I am alive, that I am loved, that I am held in hands greater than I can comprehend. This wonder is not fleeting. It is the steady reminder that in every moment, great or small, you are near, and that nearness is more beautiful than anything my eyes could behold. Father, as awe fills my heart and wonder returns like light to tired eyes, I realize that my soul also longs for something steady, something deeper than the spark of amazement. Gratitude has lifted me, healing has restored me, wonder has renewed me. Yet now I desire the calm that holds me through the hours ahead. What I seek is peace, not the fleeting kind that depends on circumstances, but the quiet assurance that endures even when storms gather. This peace does not come quickly or easily. It is a slow path, a journey that requires surrender, patience, and trust. And in this morning stillness, I step onto that path with you. I admit, Father, that I often want peace to come instantly. I want the anxious thoughts to vanish in a moment, the fears to dissolve with a single word, the conflicts around me to resolve without effort. Yet life rarely moves at such speed. More often, peace seeps into the soul slowly, like dawn stretching across the horizon. At first it is only a faint glow, but as time passes, the light spreads, and the shadows recede. Teach me to welcome this gradual work, to trust that even when I do not feel it fully, peace is forming quietly within me. There are parts of me that resist this slowness. My restless heart urges me to grasp for control, to solve everything quickly, to run ahead of your timing. But peace cannot be forced. It grows in the soil of trust, watered by patience, nurtured by waiting. Father, I bring to you the impatience that rises in me, the frustration that peace does not arrive on demand. Transform my waiting into worship, my delay into dependence, my longing into faith that you are shaping me through this process. I think of how rivers carve valleys over years, not days. Their persistence forms beauty that rushing could never achieve. Let my heart learn from those rivers. Father, let me flow steadily, faithfully, quietly, even when the results are not immediate. Let the peace you bring form deep channels in me, places where your presence flows freely, places where my spirit is steady no matter what swirls around me. Father, I confess that worry often steals from me the very peace I seek. Thoughts circle endlessly, replaying what could go wrong, rehearsing what I cannot control. In this morning prayer, I release those worries into your care. Each one I name silently, placing it in your hands, refusing to carry it further. As I let go, I feel the weight lessen. And though peace does not flood instantly, it begins to whisper. That whisper is enough to keep me walking this slow path. I ask you to help me welcome silence as part of peace. Too often I fill the quiet with noise, afraid of what stillness might reveal. But peace grows in silence, in the gentle pause between words, in the steady rhythm of breath, in the unspoken trust that you are near. Teach me not to fear silence, but to embrace as holy ground where your peace takes root. Father, let this peace not remain within me alone. Let it flow outward into the way I speak and act. Let my words carry calm instead of tension. My presence bring rest instead of pressure. My choices reflect trust instead of fear. May those around me feel the ripple of the peace you cultivate in me, so that their restless hearts may also be touched. Let my life become a vessel of stillness in a world that rushes and strives. A quiet testimony that peace is possible when it is anchored in you. I think of how Jesus calmed the storm not by effort, but by his presence and his word. The sea obeyed because he carried peace within him. Father, I want that same presence to dwell in me, so that even when storms rage, I remain unshaken, not because I am strong, but because you are steady, not because I control the winds, but because I belong to the one who does. Let peace settle so deeply in me that it becomes unmovable, not swayed by circumstances, not shattered by fear. Father, this path may be slow, but I trust that it is sure. Each morning I rise to walk it again, placing one step after another, learning to trust in your timing, learning to breathe in your calm. Some days the progress feels small, but even then, I know you are guiding me. The journey itself is sacred, for with each step I draw closer to the heart of peace that only you can give. So here in the quiet of dawn, I rest in the slow unfolding. I will not demand that peace rush in, but I will open my heart to the gentle work of your Spirit. I will trust that as the hours move forward, peace will grow, steady and strong, until it fills me completely. And as I walk this path, I know that even in its slowness, it is leading me toward the stillness of your presence, where my soul can finally breathe freely. Father, as I continue walking this slow and sacred path toward peace, I find myself drawn back not out of regret, but out of reverence. Something in my soul tells me to pause, to look behind me, not to dwell in the past, but to remember what you have already done. There is power in remembering, not because it keeps me stuck, but because it gives me strength for where I am and where I am going. Peace is not only born in silence and stillness, but also in trust, and trust is often nurtured by memory. When the road ahead feels uncertain, it is memory that steadies my steps. When the present feels fragile, it is remembering that reminds me I have been carried through before. You have walked with me in valleys deeper than this one, through nights darker than this, across storms wilder than I imagined I could survive. And still, here I am, not because of my own wisdom or strength, but because you have never failed to meet me where I was, even when I forgot to call out, even when I doubted you were near. Father, I recall the days when answers came unexpectedly, when doors opened that I had stopped knocking on, when comfort arrived just when I thought I could not go on. I remember the peace that came not from everything being fixed, but from knowing you were present in the mess. These memories are not distant stories. They are sacred stones marking the places where heaven met earth in my life. Let me gather them again this morning, one by one, and hold them with gratitude and awe. Sometimes I forget. Father, I forget how far you have brought me. I forget how many tears you have turned into laughter, how many breakdowns led to breakthroughs, how many delays were your protection disguised as silence. In the pressure of the moment, I sometimes let fear erase the faith you built in me. But today, I choose to remember. I choose to rehearse the truth of your faithfulness, not only as comfort, but as a foundation I can stand on again. Your promises have never failed, even when I misunderstood their timing. I look back now and see that what once felt like a wilderness was actually preparation. The doors that closed redirected me to something greater. The silence that scared me carved space for deeper dependence. The waiting that wore me down taught me endurance I did not know I needed. Every step behind me holds a lesson, and every lesson holds a reason to trust you still. Father, let remembering not be a passive act, but a declaration. Let it speak louder than the doubts that whisper. Let it rise against fear like a song that cannot be drowned out. Let it become a rhythm in my soul, a steady heartbeat of faith. When I recall your goodness, I am reminded that you are the same today as you were then. My circumstances shift, but you do not. My emotions rise and fall, but your truth remains. In this moment, I bring to mind specific mercies that carried me conversations that shifted everything, provision that arrived just in time, healing that began quietly but changed my life, encouragement that found me when I had nothing left to give. These are not just happy memories. They are living proof that I am not forgotten, not forsaken, not left to figure this life out alone. I think of how you instructed your people to remember, to stack stones after crossing the river, to write truth on their doorposts, to speak of your works to the next generation. You know how easily we forget. You know how fear loves to fill the empty space where remembrance should live. That is why you teach us to anchor ourselves in what you have already done, not to worship the past, but to trust you for the future. So I write these memories upon my heart today. I speak them aloud in prayer. I let them rise within me like a banner of hope. I am not starting from nothing. I am walking with a history of your faithfulness, written into the fabric of my life. And even now, when things feel unclear, I know enough of who you are to keep moving forward. I may not have the answers yet, but I have stories that tell me you are working, even when I cannot see it. Father, as the day stretches before me, I ask that you bring to my mind what I need to remember. When anxiety creeps in, remind me of the peace you gave before. When discouragement tries to settle, remind me of the strength you poured in. When I feel forgotten, remind me of the moments you showed up so clearly I could not doubt. Let memory become a weapon against despair, a light for the next step, a song I carry in my spirit as I go. So I step forward with the power of remembering held close. I do not walk empty or uncertain, for the history of your faithfulness walks beside me. What you have done before, you can do again, and even greater. I will not forget. I will not lose sight of the grace that met me again and again. I will let remembering carry me into the future with hope, with trust, and with confidence that you are still writing my story. Father, as I carry the memories of your faithfulness with me into this quiet morning, I feel something begin to loosen within me. The remembering has reminded me of your strength, your consistency, your love that never forgets. And now, as I let those truths settle deeper, I realize how much I've been striving. Even in prayer, even in faith, there is a part of me that still tries to carry it all, to manage the weight, to hold everything together. But now, more than anything, I long to learn how to be held. It is not easy. Father, I am used to standing tall, used to being strong, used to pushing forward even when I am exhausted. Somewhere along the way, I learned to equate maturity with independence, faith with effort, and trust with always having answers. But none of those things bring rest to my soul. Today, in the hush of this early hour, I hear you calling me back not to more effort, but to surrender, not to do more, but to be still, to stop resisting your embrace and learn how to rest inside it. There is a kind of peace that comes not from figuring everything out, but from knowing I am not alone. I do not have to carry the future. I do not have to solve every problem. I do not have to protect myself from every uncertainty. There is a place in you where I can stop running, stop defending, stop proving, and simply be held. That is where I want to be. That is what I am learning, even now. Father, I imagine what it would look like to truly rest in you, not just physically, but in the deepest parts of my being, to let the anxious thoughts slow, to let the tension in my chest release, to let my soul unclench, to let you carry me not because I am helpless, but because you are willing, because you delight in holding what I cannot hold on my own. I think of how a child rests in the arms of someone they trust, unguarded and quiet. That kind of trust does not come from instruction. It comes from experience, from learning over and over that they are safe, loved, and known. I want to become that child again in your presence, not childish, but childlike, free to lean, to trust, to be cradled by something greater than myself. Sometimes, Father, I did not even realize how much I am carrying until you invite me to let go. I come to you with words, with plans, with things to say and ask, And I forget that prayer is also a place where I can fall silent and simply rest in the knowing that you are near. That is enough. Your nearness is not a concept to be understood, but a reality to be experienced. And in this stillness, I let myself lean into it. There are things I cannot fix, outcomes I cannot control, people I cannot carry. I bring them to you one by one, not as burdens to be tossed aside, but as weights I no longer want to bear alone. I picture setting them down gently in your care, then stepping back, unclenching my hands, trusting that you see the full picture, and that I am held not only as I release them, but even in the releasing itself. Father, I ask you to teach me how to stay in this place, not just visit it briefly, but dwell here. Let being held by you become my daily rhythm, not just a refuge in crisis. Let me return to it again and again. Like breath, like home, let it shape the way I move through the day ahead, less hurried, less guarded, more rooted in the truth that I belong to you, and that nothing can separate me from your love. Being held does not mean I am doing nothing. It means I am doing the most important thing, trusting you. Letting my posture change from striving to surrender, from reaching to receiving, from guarding to opening. Let that shift echo in every area of my life, in how I speak, how I love, how I wait, how I work. Let being held by you transform not only my heart but my habits, not only my emotions but my choices. There is a kind of healing that happens only when I stop trying to heal myself. There is a kind of wisdom that comes only when I stop pretending to have all the answers. There is a kind of love that can only be felt when I stop resisting it. And all of that begins when I let you hold me not in a moment of strength, but in a moment of quiet surrender. So in this sacred hour, Father, I choose to pause and breathe. I choose to let down my defenses. I choose to stop managing everything and instead rest in the truth that you are managing me. You are carrying me. You are steady when I am not. You are near when I feel far. You are holding me when I do not know how to hold myself together. Let that be enough for now, not answers, not solutions, not outcomes. Just this: I am yours, and I am held. Father, my soul still trembles beneath the weight of the things I cannot name out loud, the quiet pain that no one sees, the H tucked beneath the smiles, and the polite replies, the unspoken bruises left behind by words. Silence or neglect, I bring them to you now, not knowing exactly how to let go, but knowing I can no longer hold them. And so I place my heart in your hands again, trusting that you are both gentle and strong enough to carry what I cannot. In the stillness, I hear again the echo of yesterday's surrender, the whisper of release that began as a choice and is now becoming a rhythm. Letting go is not a single act I am learning, but a daily unfolding. And so today, Father, I come with both open hands and clenched fists. Some hurts feel like old companions, familiar, even comforting in their predictability. They have shaped the way I think, guarded the way I love, and filtered the way I see the world. But they also cage my joy, limit my trust, and dull my sense of wonder. I want to be free, and I want that freedom to come from you. There are memories I revisit like worn-out pages in a book I can stop reading, regrets I nourish with my attention, offenses I polish with justification, losses I cradle in sorrow. Sometimes I fear that if I let them go, I will forget something important. Maybe I am afraid of forgetting who I was or what I went through. But you remind me that letting go is not erasing the past, it is releasing its power to define my future. You hold every moment I have lived, and nothing good is ever wasted when it is placed in your hands. So teach me, Lord, how to unclench these fists. Teach me how to forgive not just the people who hurt me, but the versions of myself who made mistakes, who stayed too long, who spoke in anger, or who did not speak at all. Help me forgive the season that ended too soon, the doors that closed, the prayers that seemed to go unanswered. Help me believe that you are still writing beauty into every thread, even the tangled ones. I want to forgive the timeline I imagined and trust the one you are unfolding. Some wounds feel fresh, even if they are years old. The way a phrase can still sting, the way a face can still haunt, the way a silence can still feel deafening. I bring those hurts to you not to be buried, but to be healed. You are not asking me to pretend they did not happen, but you are asking me to stop reliving them like they are still happening. You are calling me to live forward. You know how hard it is for me to trust that letting go one lead to more loss. I fear that if I loosen my grip, I will fall. But you remind me that you are not asking me to fall into nothing. You are asking me to fall into you, into your grace, your mercy, your wisdom. You are the one who holds all things together, including me. I do not have to hold it all. I just have to rest in your holding. Father, I do not want to be defined by what hurt me. I want to be known by the way you healed me. I want to live light. I want to walk through this life with open hands, trusting that what you give, no one can take, and what you remove, I do not need. I want to believe that even what is lost can be redeemed, and even what is broken can be beautiful in your time. Help me sit in the sadness without drowning in it. Help me name the pain without letting it rule me. Help me be tender with myself in the process of release. Some days, I might grieve what I am letting go of, but I will also make room for what you are bringing. I cannot carry both. I choose to carry your promise. I give you the disappointment that lingers like a fog, the expectations that went unmet, the betrayal that I did not see coming, the goodbye I did not get to say, the injustice that still feels unresolved. I give you the harsh words I internalized, the shame I mistook as truth, the comparison that steals joy, the resentment that corrodes love. I give you everything that has hardened my heart and made it hard to receive love freely. Break through those walls with your compassion. I know I cannot do this alone. Healing is not something I manufacture by sheer will. It is something that happens in your presence. So I will keep coming back here, to this quiet space where I speak and you listen, and where I learn to listen back. I will not rush the process. I will not shame myself for needing time. I will not hide the places that still sting. I will trust that you meet me even there. I want to live in the freedom that forgiveness brings. I want to be able to bless what tried to break me, because I see now that it brought me to you. I want to love without armor. I want to laugh without fear. I want to trust that the future will not repeat the worst of my past. I want to believe that letting go is not losing, but gaining space, peace, and room for what matters most. So I breathe in grace again. I exhale the H. I speak forgiveness even if my feelings have not caught up yet. I choose trust even when I do not feel certain. I open my heart again, not to be hurt, but to be healed. I let go, and I do it in your presence, where nothing is wasted, and everything can be made new. And in this letting go, I feel the faintest flutter of hope, like a bird that has been caged too long, finally finding the courage to fly. Maybe freedom is not something far off. Maybe it begins right here, right now, with one small release at a time. So here I am, again, Father, choosing freedom, choosing trust, choosing you. Father, the more I lay down what I once clung to so tightly, the more I sense a hush beginning to settle in my soul. It is not silence in the absence of noise, but the quiet that comes when striving lets go, when battles pause not because they are finished, but because I no longer need to be the one holding the sword. This morning, Father, I come to you not with fire in my chest or words pressing against my tongue, but with a gentle hush that echoes after surrender. I no longer pled for change with clenched fists. I breathe in the space left when control dissolves, and for the first time, I do not fear the stillness that follows. Yesterday's confessions did not leave me hollow. They made room. The weight of the shame I released, the hurts I named, the griefs I no longer tried to fix, all of it gave way to something holy. And now, Father, here I sit with hands unclenched, not asking for anything new, but simply soaking in what remains when all I have offered is myself. It is in this unguarded posture that I begin to notice how tender your presence feels in this silence. You are not louder now. I am simply not drowning you out. And perhaps this is what peace is: not the absence of pain, the presence of you when I finally stop running from stillness. There is a softness in the air I did not notice before. The morning light does not pierce. It wraps around me like breath. The world feels slower somehow, not because it changed, but because I did. In this calm, I begin to hear whispers that might have always been there. The sound of birds not in a hurry. The rustle of trees that do not force their leaves to bloom. The rhythm of a heart that beats without needing applause. Even my thoughts feel less like demands and more like offerings. This is the afterglow of surrender, a sacred hush that replaces urgency with presence, performance with peace. I do not want to rush past this moment. I do not want to demand clarity or resolution. Let me learn to rest here. Father, not just pause. Teach me that rest is not weakness and quiet is not emptiness. Remind me that you spoke the world into being not with thunder, but with intention. And if you, in your great wisdom, chose to begin creation with quiet light and slow days, maybe I can trust that what you are shaping in me does not need noise to be real. Maybe the growth I can see is the most precious kind. I remember the story of Elijah on the mountain, how he expected you in the wind, the earthquake, the fire, but you came in a whisper. I wonder how often I have missed you because I was chasing the loud moments, the dramatic signs, the urgent answers. But here, Father, in the stillness that remains after surrender, I sense something unshakable. Not the kind of assurance that shouts, the kind that sits beside me quietly and stays. This kind of presence does not demand. It simply is, and it changes everything. There is healing in this quiet, not because wounds are instantly mended, but because I am no longer tearing them open, trying to fix them myself. There is hope here, not in the form of outcomes, but in the form of endurance, the kind that grows like roots under the surface where no one sees. There is faith here, not in the way I once defined it, as certainty or power, but as trust that holds even when nothing is resolved. This stillness is not passive, it is deep. It is active in ways I cannot explain. It is teaching me to wait differently, not with gritted teeth, but with open hands. Father, thank you for not rushing me. Thank you for not filling this space with answers just to satisfy my impatience. You honor the stillness. You stay in it with me, and in that staying, I begin to feel seen, not because I have done anything, but because I am yours. There is such freedom in no longer needing to be impressive, in not needing to prove that I am worthy. I am slowly believing that I already am, because you have called me yours, not based on what I bring, but on who you are. Let this quiet continue to teach me. Let it shape how I show up in the world. Help me carry this stillness into conversations, into decisions, into conflict and joy. Let my heart become a sanctuary, not just in the morning when I meet you here, but all throughout the day. I want to be someone who listens more than speaks, who notices beauty before chasing answers, who responds with peace rather than urgency. Let this be the fruit of surrender, that my life becomes a soft echo of the quiet strength I have found in you. And when the noise returns, and I know it will remind me, I can return here, not to escape, but to remember. This stillness is not a hiding place. It is a training ground. It is where I learn to breathe deeper, love steadier, and trust more completely. So even when chaos knocks again, I will not forget the quiet. I will not forget that you meet me in the hush, and you are not diminished by my silence. You delight in it, and in that delight, I find my peace again. Father, as I sit in the hush of this morning, still carrying the quiet stillness from yesterday's surrender, I find myself drawn to the invisible force that has always held me even when I did not recognize it, your grace. It does not shout or demand, does not boast or push, and yet it moves mountains within me, like a stream carving through stone, not by force, but by gentle persistence. Your grace shapes my heart in ways that strength alone could never manage. I used to think grace was something I needed to earn, that I had to be good enough to receive it. But the more I have stumbled, the more I have seen its true nature. It meets me exactly where I am, not where I wish I could be. It is in the way you whisper peace into my panic, in how you lift my gaze when all I can see is the ground. It is the way you allow me to fall apart without turning your face away. Grace, I now see, is not weakness. It is power made tender. It is the unexpected strength that holds me upright when I can no longer carry myself. I have learned more from grace in silence than I have from striving in noise. And today, I do not come to strive. I come to receive again what has always been available, not because I deserve it, but because you delight in giving it. I think about all the times I have tried to fix myself before bringing my heart to you, thinking I needed to be better, more composed, more faithful. But grace does not wait for readiness. It flows into the cracks and pours itself out into the dry places I try to hide. It walks with me into shame and sits beside me in my regret. It is not afraid of my mess, and that humbles me more than anything. Because you, God of all holiness, stoop down into my humanness without hesitation. What kind of love does that? Only yours. Grace gives me permission to grow slowly, to unlearn hurry, to start over without the weight of failure clinging to me like a shadow. Grace teaches me that being loved and being healed are not the same thing, and yet you offer both. Grace is what allows me to be honest with myself, with others, and with you, because I no longer have to pretend. I can bring the raw, unfinished, barely believing parts of me, and you receive them with tenderness, not judgment. This morning, I ask not for perfection, but for a deeper awareness of grace. Let me see it in the breath I did not have to earn, in the sunrise I did not command, in the forgiveness that waits for nothing but my willingness to accept it. Let me walk through this day, not trying to prove my worth, but resting in the truth that I am already held by grace so wide, it could never be outrun. I know there will be moments today when I will forget, when I will speak harshly, or think too little of myself, or push too hard out of fear. Remind me then that grace does not get tired of returning. It is not keeping score, and help me extend that same grace outward, to the person who cuts me off in traffic, to the one who disappoints me, to the part of myself I am still learning to forgive. Let me see others not through the lens of judgment, but through the eyes of grace. Because if I have received it freely, how can I withhold it from anyone else? Grace makes space. Grace listens longer. Grace does not demand people be whole before it loves them. That is what you have done for me, over and over. Even now, as I breathe and write and reflect, I feel grace settling over me like morning mist, soft, steady, and sure. Not flashy, not loud, but quietly powerful. It reminds me that transformation often happens in hidden places, that healing does not always look like sudden miracles, but sometimes like showing up one more day with a heart still open. And in that openness, you work quietly, gently, relentlessly. There is a strength in grace I never saw before, a strength that does not need to control or correct, but simply to remain. It stays even when everything else falls apart. It binds wounds that have not yet closed. It carries stories still unfolding. It believes when belief feels impossible. Grace has been my anchor in the storm, my soft place to land when everything else felt sharp. So today, I lean in. I do not resist. I do not need to pretend I am stronger than I am, because grace is strong enough for both of us. And when I forget, remind me again, not with condemnation, but with kindness, that I was never meant to earn what was always a gift. Let this be the ground I stand on today. Not my performance, not my past. Just grace. Gentle, fierce, unchanging. A love that never looks away. Father, after being held by the quiet power of your grace, I now feel a stirring, a gentle invitation to begin again. Not to resume the race in haste, but to rebuild from the inside out. The kind of rebuilding that does not start with action, but with attention. Not with plans and timelines, but with surrender and softness. You do not rush me into productivity. You call me into wholeness, and wholeness takes time, truth, and trust. This morning, I offer you the raw materials, the rubble of what has been broken, the ashes of what has been burned, and the tiny seeds of what I still dare to hope for. I used to believe healing meant restoring things back to the way they were, but now I know it is about being made new, not being made the same. The cracks in my foundation are not signs of failure, but invitations to let you build something stronger, something more rooted in truth. Rebuilding begins where illusions end. So I lay down the mask that smiles to survive, the habits that numb to avoid pain, the walls I have built to keep out disappointment. I lay down even the blueprint I thought my life was supposed to follow. I come as I am, uneven, unfinished, and often uncertain. But I come with open hands and a willing spirit. I trust that you do not require perfection to begin construction. You only ask for permission to enter. And so I give it freely. Come into the rooms I have locked for years. Shine light into the corners where shame still whispers. Sweep away the dust of regret and breathe life into these tired bones. Begin the rebuilding where no one else sees, in the hidden places, in the private wounds, in the silent doubts. It is not easy work. The soul resists demolition. I want to keep what is familiar, even when it no longer serves me. But your mercy is a master builder. It does not destroy just to tear down, it clears space to create. So I yield to the process, as painful as it may be, and knowing that with every broken piece surrendered, you are laying the groundwork for something sacred, something that won't collapse when storms come, something that will carry truth, not just appearance. Father, teach me how to partner with you in this rebuilding. Let me not rush past the inner work to seek external validation. Let me not cover wounds with noise when what they need is quiet attention. Let me be patient when the progress feels slow and invisible. You are not in a hurry, so why should I be? Let every brick be laid with intention, with honesty, and with the peace that comes from knowing it is you who holds the plan. And as you rebuild me from within, may the outside of my life begin to reflect the inside, not through effort, but through overflow. May my words carry the weight of someone who has met you in the ruins. May my presence feel like shelter to those still standing in the storm. May my eyes shine not from ease, but from endurance. Let my life speak, not of perfection, but of redemption, of what grace can grow when nothing seems left to plant. There are things I still mourn, pieces I still wish had not been lost, but I trust that nothing surrendered to you is ever wasted. Even the tears I cried in silence have watered the soil of what is now beginning to grow. The healing is slow, but it is real. The rebuilding is quiet, but it is sure. The transformation is not in becoming someone else, but in finally becoming the truest version of who you made me to be. You rebuild differently than the world does, not from pressure or performance, but from presence. You use gentleness as scaffolding, truth as mortar, and love as the frame that holds it all together. What you are building cannot be shaken, because it is anchored in eternity. Even when I do not see it, even when I can name it, you are at work within me. That is enough to carry me through this day. So here I stand, on ground that is still soft, with walls not yet finished and windows still missing their panes. But this place, though unfinished, is holy, because you are here, because you are building, because you are not done with me. And maybe that is what I need most to remember, that being in process is not a problem. It is the proof that grace is still moving, that healing is still happening, and that hope is still alive. Father, in the slow work of rebuilding, there are days when your silence feels louder than anything else. After the surrender, after the tearing down, after I have stood in the dust and offered you my ruins, some mornings come quietly, almost too quietly. I wait for the whisper, the word, the warmth I have known in other seasons. But instead, there is just stillness. It is not empty, but it is unfamiliar. Not cruel, but cold in a way I did not expect. And I find myself asking the question I thought I had grown beyond. Where are you? I do not doubt that you exist. I do not question that you are good. But I do wonder why you sometimes feel so distant right when I need you most. In the aching middle, where hope has not yet bloomed and pain has not yet eased, I crave clarity. I reach for comfort. I listen with all I have, and still, the heavens feel closed. Is this the valley of faith, where you walk beside me but say nothing? Or is it the space where you are working deepest? Though unseen, I know you are not gone. I know you have not withdrawn. But it is hard to remember what I know when I feel what I feel in this silence. Father, I am learning to stay, not to flee into noise or fix myself with answers, but to stay in the quiet and trust that it holds something sacred. Maybe the silence is not absence, but invitation, a holy pause, not a punishment. A place where you ask me to keep showing up, even when the light does not flicker and the winds do not part. I think about all the times you spoke before the words that steadied me, the signs that guided me, the peace that fell like rain. I remember how real you were then, and I let that memory be a bridge across this silent stretch. If I can hear you now, I will still walk in the direction of your last echo. If the fire has faded, I will warm myself at the memory of its flame, until your breath fans it into life again. Teach me, Father, not to confuse your silence with your absence. Teach me that love can be quiet, that presence can be still, That intimacy does not always speak in words. Maybe this silence is how you strengthen the roots of my faith deep beneath what feelings can touch. Maybe this is how you teach me to trust without a sign, to love without demand, to stay close even when you do not explain. I want to be the kind of soul who worships when nothing moves, who waits without rushing to fill the quiet with noise. There is a strange kind of healing that comes in, silence the kind that removes the scaffolding of emotional highs and builds in its place a slow, steady surrender. In this place, I see myself more clearly. I see how often I have leaned on the sweetness of your gifts rather than the strength of your heart. And now, stripped of comfort, I cling to character. I say not speak to me but hold me here. I ask not for answers but for enough grace to stay faithful in the unknowing. Help me, Father, to keep choosing you in the quiet. Help me to believe that you are working where I cannot see. Help me to rest in the truth that silence does not mean neglect. That just because I cannot hear you does not mean you have stopped holding the pieces of my story. You are not a God who disappears. You are a God who sometimes hides not to punish, but to purify, to burn off the need for control, to deepen trust, to grow intimacy that no storm can shake. Even in the silence, I want to live with open hands. Even in the stillness, I want to be a heart that listens. Even without words, I want to respond with worship. Let my quiet yes be an offering. Let my unseen obedience be incense. Let my trust, uncelebrated and small, be a song that reaches heaven. I do not need you to shout, Father, I just need to know you are near, and even when I do not feel it, I will believe it. I bring you my silence, too, not to fill it, but to offer it. I bring you my questions, not demanding replies, but laying them down like seeds in the soil of your sovereignty. I bring you my longing not to be soothed immediately, but to be transformed gradually. I bring you the hush of my soul and ask you to dwell in it, to make it holy ground, to make it a place where love grows deeper than words. Father, in the quiet space where your voice once echoed and now seems still, I find myself leaning into memory. The silence no longer frightens me the way it used to. Perhaps it is because I am learning that not all silence is empty. Some silence holds echoes, and those echoes are where I remember you. It begins gently, like the unfolding of a worn letter. I recall the first time I truly knew you were near, the moment you steadied me when everything else gave way. I remember the tears that turned to peace, the fear that softened under your presence, the nights when I spoke to you without knowing I was praying. And suddenly, though you may not speak now, I can feel your story in me again. There is power in remembering, not just nostalgia, but anchoring. When the present feels uncertain and the future hidden, memory becomes a kind of light that shines backward to lead me forward. You have written yourself into my days before, and I believe you will do it again. I do not need to see the full picture if I can hold one brushstroke of grace. And in remembering, I do. You were the one who lifted me when I was weary and surrounded me when I was alone. You were the quiet answer when I asked impossible questions, the strength beneath my weakness when I had nothing left. I remember the way joy bloomed from unlikely soil, how even broken things became beautiful when placed in your hands. These memories are not distant, they are alive. They breathe inside me, and they remind me that silence is not the end of the conversation. It is part of the rhythm of love. Today, Father, I choose to remember who you are, not just what you have done. You are faithful, even when my faith is fragile. You are constant, even when I waver. You are tender, even when life feels hard. You have not changed, even when everything else has. In remembering, I reclaim my footing. I find a new way to stand in the present, built not on feeling, but on truth. Let memory become a form of worship. Let the recollection of your goodness be an offering on the altar of my heart. Let me pause and reflect, not just on answered prayers, but on the quiet mercies that carried me when I did not even know to ask, the days I survived, the mornings I woke up with hope again, the moments that seemed ordinary but now shine with your fingerprints. Teach me, Father, how to hold on to these sacred recollections. Help me to build altars in my heart like the ancients did to mark the places where you met me, so that in every valley I walk through, I might look back and see that you were faithful. Let remembrance be the rope I grip when the path grows steep, the compass I trust when I lose my way. When the world says to keep moving, help me to pause and reflect. When doubt rises like a flood, let memory be the ground that holds me above it. When fear whispers lies, let remembrance shout the truth. You have done great things for me, not always flashy, not always fast, but always real. And you are not done. Let me never forget that your story with me did not begin in this moment of silence. It has been unfolding since before I knew your name. Let me remember that this chapter is not the conclusion, but a pause in the melody. You have led me before. You are leading me still. And every act of remembrance becomes a declaration. You are good. You are near. You are worthy of trust. So today, I gather my memories like manna. I collect them, not to hoard, but to feed my soul. I hold them gently, like the sacred seeds they are, and let them root deeper into my heart. In a world that forgets quickly, I choose to remember slowly, to reflect, to name, to give thanks. For you have not left me without evidence. My very life is the testimony. Even the hard memories, the ones I wish had never happened, speak of your mercy. Because I made it through, because I am still here, because something in me bent but did not break. And even when I was silent toward you, you remembered me. You remembered your promises. You remembered love. Father, help me to live like someone who remembers, to walk with reverence, to trust with history, to hope with the full weight of grace behind me. Let remembering not be about retreating into the past, but about rising in the present, fueled by all you have done. When I forget, remind me again. When I feel lost, call me back to what is already known. Let my memory become a song that carries me through the waiting. You have written miracles into the pages of my story. I do not always recognize them at first, but today, I look back and see how you were there in the waiting room, in the silent hallway, in the whispered goodbye, in the laughter I thought I had lost forever. You were there, you are here, and you always will be. Father, as I rise today with your name still warm in my thoughts, I carry the quiet strength that comes from remembering. Not just remembering what you have done, but allowing those memories to shape the way I walk forward. Yesterday, I gathered the fragments of your goodness and held them like sacred stones in my hand. Today, I want to build something with them, something strong enough to stand on. It is one thing to recall your faithfulness. It is another to live as though I truly believe you are still writing that faithfulness into my story. And so I ask for courage, not the kind that roars, but the kind that simply chooses to keep stepping, even when the road is still cloaked in fog. You have walked with me before. Now help me walk with you. There is a deep trust forming. Father, not because I know what lies ahead, but because I know who has gone before me. The path may be unfamiliar, but the presence beside me is not. I am learning that faith is not a feeling that comes when all is clear, but a decision to keep walking when nothing is. Sometimes I mistake peace for certainty. I think I can only move when I feel steady. But you are showing me that faith often looks like movement in the midst of trembling, like lifting one foot when I am not sure where it will land, like choosing to breathe deeper when the air feels thin, like speaking truth aloud when doubt screams louder. And through it all, you are the whisper that steadies the shaking. I do not want to merely survive my days. Father, I want to live them anchored in the truth that you are with me, that you are for me, that you are still unfolding goodness in ways I cannot yet see. Let every act of remembrance become a bridge between what was and what will be. Let it strengthen the spine of my faith, so I can stand a little taller when the weight of life tries to bend me low. Help me to walk slowly enough to notice you today, to move not from fear or pressure, but from the rooted place of trust. Let my decisions come from the truth of your presence, not the urgency of my anxiety. Let my words reflect your peace, not my panic. Let my footsteps echo with assurance, even if the landscape around me looks uncertain. And when I forget, because I will forget, remind me again that I do not walk alone, that even in silence, you are speaking, even in stillness, you are moving, even in weakness, you are strengthening, and even in the waiting, you are working. Let my memory not be a museum of what you have done, but a well I can draw from to live now. Father, show me how to carry yesterday's miracles into today's moments, when fear comes dressed as logic, when worry disguises itself as planning, when discouragement tries to speak as truth. Let me go back to the altar of remembrance and light a fire of faith again. Let my memory fuel my movement. Let the truth of what I have seen be louder than the lies I might hear. I do not want to walk by habit. I want to walk by faith. And sometimes that means turning away from what feels familiar in order to follow what is holy. Sometimes it means leaving behind the safety of understanding for the sacredness of obedience. You do not always explain, but you always lead, and I want to follow. Today, Father, I lay down my desire to control every outcome. I release my grip on the illusion of certainty. I open my hands, not just to receive, but to release what is not mine to carry. I choose to trust the unseen path, because I trust the one who draws it. You have never failed me. Not once. So why should I begin to doubt now? Let my life become a living testimony. Let each step I take today be an act of worship. Let every small, brave yes become a declaration of faith. Let the world see not through perfection, but through persistence that I am held, guided, loved. Let them see what it looks like to walk forward with a limp and still believe in healing. Sometimes faith means walking without answers. Sometimes it means dancing before the rain comes. Sometimes it means thanking you before the provision arrives. So I do all those things now, not because I feel brave, but because I remember, and remembering you has made me brave. Father, I know the days ahead will not always be easy. There will be moments when I wonder if I am still on the right path. Moments when the darkness feels too thick to move through. Moments when silence feels louder than your promises. But in those times, I pray you help me not to panic. Help me to pause, to breathe, to remember, to walk forward anyway. Let faith become my rhythm. Let it shape the way I speak, the way I love, the way I forgive, the way I endure. Let it soften me where I have become hard. Let it strengthen me where I have grown weary. Let it carry me when my legs give out. I do not walk by sight. I walk by trust in a God who sees what I cannot, a God who walks the road before me, beside me, and behind me. You are not asking me to know everything. You are asking me to follow. So I will, one choice at a time, one step at a time, one moment at a time. And as I do, may your grace meet me there, again and again, turning ordinary ground into holy places, turning weakness into witness, turning each day into a doorway for your glory. Father, in the hush of this early hour, I return to you once more with a heart that is tired from holding too tightly to pain. Even after learning to recognize the weight of past wounds, even after naming the places within me that still ache, I confess that there is still a part of me that clings. Not out of stubbornness, but out of fear that letting go means forgetting, that releasing what hurt me means letting go of what shaped me. And yet, deep down, I know you never asked me to erase what was, only to trust you with it. Yesterday's pain has a way of echoing through today's peace, the smallest word, the faintest memory, and the wound is touched again, as if freshly opened. I know that healing is not about pretending it did not happen. Healing begins with honesty. So today, Father, I bring you my honesty first. I admit that some of the pain I carry, I have turned into identity. It has become so familiar, so woven into how I see myself, that the thought of letting go feels like losing a part of who I am. But you remind me that I am not my pain. I am not the betrayal. I am not the abandonment. I am not the mistake. I am yours, and in your hands, I can be made whole again. You are not asking me to be strong in myself, but to lean into your strength. So in this quiet hour, I take one trembling step closer to release, not all at once. But honestly, I let go of the bitterness I have used as a shield. I let go of the anger that masks my grief. I let go of the constant replay of what was said, what was not done, what should have been. These thoughts are not helping me heal. They are keeping me captive. I am not designed to carry them forever. There are things I still do not understand. Why some people leave. Why love is not always safe. Why kindness was met with cruelty. And yet, I choose to believe that you are still good. Even when life has not been, I choose to believe that letting go is not a betrayal of my story, but an act of trust in yours. There is a sacred strength in releasing, one that does not shout or demand, but whispers. You do not have to carry this anymore. That is the whisper I hold on to now. I may pick it up again tomorrow. Old habits are slow to die, but for today, I release it into your care. I open my fists and let the tears fall if they need to. Not tears of despair, but of surrender. Healing does not have to look dramatic. Sometimes, it is just choosing peace over the replay, quiet over chaos, today over yesterday. Father, help me bless the parts of me that tried to survive, the defenses I built, the numbness I used, the overthinking I relied on. They were not signs of failure, but signs I was doing my best with what I had. But now, I lay them down, not in shame, but in gratitude. They got me this far, but they cannot take me further. I need something gentler now, something like grace. Let me not confuse letting go with forgetting. Let me not mistake softness for weakness. What if the strongest thing I can do today is choose not to be defined by what wounded me? What if true strength is the courage to feel it, grieve it, learn from it, and then release it? I think of the image of a bird with clipped wings, still trying to fly. That is what it feels like to carry unforgiven pain. But you are the healer who restores flight. You do not rush me. You do not push me. You simply invite me to trust you with what I am still too tired to carry alone. So teach me again, Father, how to forgive what cannot be excused, not to condone, but to be free. Teach me how to bless even the bitter parts of my past, not because they were good, but because you never abandoned me in them. You were there in the silence, in the heartbreak, in the moments when I could not pray. You were already whispering hope while I was drowning in sorrow. Today, I do not need answers as much as I need peace. I do not need perfect closure. I need a soft place to land. And that place is always you. In your presence, I can stop striving. I can rest. I can weep without judgment. I can release without fear. I can begin again. Not by pretending I was never broken, but by trusting that even broken things can still carry light. So as I step into this day, I do not deny what hurt me. I simply choose not to bow to it anymore. I choose to make space not for what hurt, but for what heals. Space for laughter, for stillness, for new beginnings. Space for forgiveness to do its slow, invisible work. Space for joy to return, even if only in flickers. And when the weight returns, as it sometimes will, remind me that letting go is not a one-time event, but a daily rhythm of trust. Remind me that freedom is a process, not a performance, that healing is a path I can walk with you, one honest step at a time. Let the wind of your spirit gently carry away the debris of what no longer serves me. Let the light of your kindness warm the places that still feel cold. Let the truth of your love be louder than every memory that tries to keep me stuck. I am not who I was, and I am not yet who I will be. But today, I am choosing to let go, and in doing so, I make room for what is yet to come. Father, I come to you this morning with the weight of yesterday's hurt still clinging to the edges of my heart. In the quiet after sorrow, in the tender place where healing begins, I sense the whisper that it is time not just to let go of the pain, but to open my clenched hands and offer forgiveness. It is a word that feels too large for my chest today. But I know you are the source of all mercy and grace. You forgave before I ever knew how to ask. And now you gently call me to do the same, not out of obligation, but out of freedom. Father, it is not easy to forgive when wounds are fresh or when the scars still throb with old betrayals. The mind replays what the heart longs to forget. And yet, you meet me here, not with demands, but with the quiet invitation to trust you in the process. You do not rush me, but you also do not let me stay stuck in bitterness. You show me that forgiveness is not about pretending something did not hurt. It is about releasing the power it holds over me. It is a gift I offer not because they deserve it, but because I no longer want to carry the burden of resentment within me. I remember how you forgave those who mocked, denied, and crucified you, and in that memory, I find both awe and conviction. If you could speak grace while suffering, then surely, with your strength, I can begin the journey of release. Help me, Lord, to move from the H of what they did to the peace of what you can do with it. Unclench my fists, soften the muscles of my heart, and remind me that I was never meant to carry the weight of vengeance. That job is not mine, and the justice I long for rests safely in your hands. Even now, I feel resistance within me. Part of me wants to hold on to what was unfair. The grudge gives me a false sense of control. But the more I grip it, the more it grips me. It poisons my joy, distorts my perspective, and clouds the beauty of today. Set me free from that illusion. Let forgiveness be the key that unlocks the door to joy again. I do not want to live looking backward. Father, I want to move forward with open hands, light shoulders, and a heart that no longer echoes with old arguments. I bring to you the names I have avoided, the memories I have buried, the faces I flinch to see in my mind's eye. I do not come to justify or excuse their actions. I come to release them from my judgment. Because when I forgive, I am not saying what happened was right. I am saying I trust you more than I trust my pain. I am surrendering my right to retribution and choosing instead the path of healing. It may take time. It may come slowly. One breath, one step, one morning at a time. But with you, all things are possible, even this. Give me the courage to forgive when no apology was given, when closure never came. Teach me to forgive the words they never took back, the moments they never made right. Help me to see them, not only through the lens of my wounds, but through the lens of their own brokenness. Not to excuse them, but to understand that we are all in need of grace. And as I begin to loosen the grip of anger, may your peace take its place, not a peace born from justice served, but from a heart unshackled. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is myself. Father, speak into the shame I carry, the regret I replay in the quiet moments, the things I wish I had done differently. Remind me that you are not surprised by my failures. You knew them. And still, you called me yours. If you do not condemn me, why should I keep punishing myself? Teach me to accept the grace you have already offered. Help me to walk in the light of your mercy, and to believe that redemption is not a theory, but a daily reality. Let forgiveness reshape how I see the world. May I become someone who extends kindness before judgment, who listens before speaking, who chooses restoration over revenge. Let me be a safe place for others to land, not because I am perfect, but because I have tasted the goodness of your compassion. May my life become a reflection of the grace I have received, and may others see in me the evidence of a heart transformed. Thank you for being patient with me, Father, for knowing my pace and walking beside me as I stumble toward freedom. Thank you for not demanding that I be perfect before I begin this journey. You only ask for my willingness to try, and here I am, trying, with trembling hands and a soul aching for peace. I take the first step. I say yes to healing, yes to letting go, yes to the hope that what feels impossible now will become second nature someday. Today, let forgiveness be my posture. Let it seep into the words I speak, the thoughts I think, the choices I make. Let it free me not only from those who hurt me, but from the story I have told myself about what healing is supposed to look like. Let it surprise me with its power to rebuild what was broken in quieter, more beautiful ways. And as I continue to rise each morning, may this journey of forgiveness become not just an act of obedience, but a rhythm of grace that renews me from the inside out. Father, after the trembling act of forgiveness, I feel the quiet air shift around me. It is not that all pain is gone, nor that every memory has been erased, but something inside feels lighter. In the tender silence of this morning, I realize that forgiveness was never the final destination, it was the door. And beyond that door lies a path called freedom, a freedom not built on circumstances, but on trust, not dependent on others, but anchored in you. Today, I step into that path with cautious but hopeful steps, asking you to teach me how to walk in freedom. Freedom feels unfamiliar at first. For so long, I have lived weighed down by grudges, by shame, by burdens that bent my back and hardened my spirit. Now, without them, I almost do not know how to carry myself. My hands, once clenched, are open. My heart, once guarded, is slowly softening. And yet I wonder, truly live without returning to what once defined me? Will I keep reaching back for the chains I just laid down? Father, give me the courage not only to forgive, but to remain free. To trust that you did not lead me to this doorway just to watch me retreat into captivity again. Teach me that freedom is not loud or careless, but steady and rooted. It does not mean ignoring responsibility or dismissing my wounds. It means I no longer let them rule me. Freedom is not denial, it is redemption. It is learning to live without letting yesterday dictate today. It is allowing joy to return without guilt, laughter to rise without hesitation, and peace to settle without suspicion. It is believing that I am more than what has happened to me, more than what I have lost, more than the labels I once carried. As I breathe in this morning light, I remember that you are the one who proclaimed liberty for the captives. You are the one who broke the chains of death itself. If you can set the world free, surely you can set me free. Remind me, Father, that freedom does not have to feel dramatic to be real. It can be quiet and gentle, like the slow opening of a flower, like the calm clearing after a storm. It can be simple, like choosing not to dwell on old wounds, or choosing to walk forward instead of circling the same ground. I do not want to live as if I am waiting for the next wound, the next disappointment, the next betrayal. I want to live open, unafraid to love, unafraid to trust, unafraid to risk being vulnerable again. Because freedom is not about never being hurt, it is about refusing to let hurt become the master of my soul. It is about believing that love is still worth it, that kindness is still powerful, that hope is still alive. Father, help me protect this freedom without turning it into fear. Sometimes I am tempted to build higher walls, to guard myself so tightly that no one can reach me. But that is not freedom, it is another prison. True freedom means I can live with open doors and open arms, because my safety is not in people's hands, but in yours. You are my refuge, my strong tower, my unshakable ground. With you, I can risk being soft again. With you, I can risk being real again. I know this freedom will be tested. Old thoughts will creep back. Old fears will whisper. Old chains will try to rattle loud enough to tempt me. But in those moments, I ask you to remind me of the truth. I am no longer bound. I am free, free to forgive, free to heal, free to grow, free to love. And not because of my strength, but because of yours. You have rewritten my story from brokenness into wholeness, from bitterness into blessing. I will not go back to the place you have delivered me from. Father, let this freedom change the way I live, not just the way I think. Let it color my words with kindness. Let it fill my steps with confidence. Let it make my presence feel like peace to those around me. Let it teach me to hold things loosely, to love without fear, to give without calculation. Let me be someone whose freedom inspires others to believe that they too can be free. And as I walk in this new lightness, let me remember that freedom is not just for me. It is also for those whose lives touch mine. May my forgiveness create ripples of healing. May my peace be contagious. May my joy open the door for someone else to believe again. Because true freedom does not hoard, it overflows. It turns inward healing into outward hope. Thank you, Father, for the gift of this morning. Thank you for showing me that freedom is not a dream for tomorrow, but a choice for today. Thank you for walking beside me, patient when I falter, gentle when I resist, and steadfast when I wander. You never leave me, And that is the greatest freedom of all, not that I am unbound from struggle, but that I am bound forever to your love. Father, after walking into freedom with trembling steps, I now feel the invitation to rest, not just in the absence of chains, but in the fullness of peace. Freedom is the open doorway, but peace is the home you prepare for me inside. It is not enough to be unbound. You long for me to be settled, anchored, at ease in your presence. And so today, I ask you to teach me what it means not only to taste peace in fleeting moments, but to dwell in it daily, to live inside its embrace like a home for my soul. Peace does not come from everything aligning perfectly. It comes from knowing that even when nothing aligns, you remain unshaken. It is not a fragile quiet that breaks at the first sign of trouble. It is a steady calm that flows from your heart into mine, a calm no storm can uproot. Father, I want to live from that place, not reacting to every shift in circumstance, not grasping for control, not fearing what tomorrow might bring. I want to breathe deeply of the peace that surpasses understanding and let it shape how I move through the world. Still, I admit how easily I let disturbances steal my calm. A harsh word, a sudden change, an unexpected delay, and I find my chest tightening again, my thoughts racing, my soul unsettled. Peace feels so fragile when I try to manufacture it myself. But when I return to you, I find that peace was never meant to be earned, was meant to be received. It is not something I produce, but something I step into, like a stream already flowing, waiting for me to immerse myself. Father, draw me back to that stream again and again, until it becomes the natural current of my days. Let this peace not be a pause I experience only in prayer, but a presence I carry with me into every place. Teach me how to carry it into conversations that might otherwise spark conflict. Let it temper my reactions, soften my tone, and keep me from speaking words I cannot take back. Teach me how to carry it into my waiting, so that I do not grow anxious when answers delay. Teach me how to carry it into my grief, so that sorrow does not consume me. Peace does not erase emotion, but it steadies me within it. And that is what I long for, not to be untouched by life, but to be held by you through all of it. Father, help me to remember that peace is not passive. It is not the absence of movement, but the grounding of movement. It is the rhythm that allows me to walk through uncertainty with confidence, to face conflict without fear, to endure hardship with hope. It is the inner stillness that lets me act without being driven by panic or pride. Let that stillness become the soil where love and patience grow, because without peace, even good intentions turn restless and brittle. But in peace, every act becomes a reflection of your steady heart. I think of peace as a dwelling place, a home within the storm. The winds may howl, the rains may pound, but inside there is warmth, light, and rest. That is the shelter you offer, not a world without storms, but a heart unshaken in the middle of them. Teach me to keep my door open to that shelter each day, not shutting it in fear or distraction. Let peace be the posture of my mornings, the shield of my afternoons, the lullaby of my nights. Sometimes I resist this dwelling. I return to worry like it is familiar ground, rehearsing all the what-ifs as if they can prepare me for tomorrow. But worry has never built anything sturdy. It only erodes what you are trying to restore. Peace, on the other hand, builds trust. It strengthens what is weak. It nourishes what is tired. It gives clarity to what is confused. Help me to remember that peace is not avoidance, it is alignment. It is my heart aligning with yours. Father, I long to be someone whose very presence carries peace into the rooms I enter. Not because I never face storms, because I have learned to anchor myself in you. Let others feel in me not restlessness, but calm, not judgment, but kindness, not fear, but quiet confidence. Make me an instrument of your peace, not by grand gestures, but by the simple way I breathe, listen, and love. Let my life be a testimony that peace is possible even here, even now, even in me. Thank you for offering me not just freedom from what bound me, but rest for what still wearies me. Thank you that your peace is not temporary or fragile, but eternal and steadfast. I want to live inside it as surely as I live inside my own skin. I want it to be the place I return to every moment, not just when I pray, but when I walk, when I speak, when I wait, when I grieve, when I rejoice. Because with you, peace is not a passing feeling. It is a dwelling place, and I choose to live there. Father, as I learn to dwell in the shelter of your peace, I discover that memory itself becomes a sacred gift. The mind often wanders, sometimes into shadows of regret, sometimes into worries about tomorrow, but you remind me that memory can also be a source of strength. When I pause to look back, I see not only my failures, but your faithfulness woven through them. It is in remembering that I regain courage, and it is in recalling your mercies that I am lifted when the present feels heavy. Memory is not always gentle. It brings back moments I wish I could erase, faces I wish I could forget, seasons that still sting when I think of them. Yet even in those memories, there are traces of you. The night I thought I was abandoned, you were still holding me. The prayer I thought went unanswered, you were working in ways I could not yet see. The mistakes I thought defined me, you were already redeeming. So even the painful memories can become holy when I let them remind me not of my weakness, but of your strength. I remember the nights when I cried until sleep finally came, and yet morning still arrived with its quiet light. I remember the times I thought I had nothing left, and then a kindness appeared from an unexpected place. I remember the people who showed up when I thought I would face things alone. These memories are not accidents. They are threads of grace. They teach me that you are consistent, steady, and unchanging, even when life feels unpredictable. They remind me that what I feared most never destroyed me, because you were already there in the middle of it. Father, let remembering be more than nostalgia. Let it be a spiritual practice, a discipline of faith. Teach me to gather stones of memory, like the ancient ones who built altars after crossing rivers and deserts. They marked the ground not to glorify themselves, but to testify that you had carried them through. Help me build such altars in my own heart. Let me say, here is where I was broken but not destroyed. Here is where I was afraid but found courage. Here is where I thought it was over, and yet it was only the beginning. These sacred markers keep me from losing my way when new storms rise. I know that forgetting comes easily. Life rushes forward. Pain dulls. Joy fades. And I risk living as if you have not proven yourself again and again. But when I choose to remember, gratitude takes root. Fear loosens its grip. Hope rises again. What once felt like random moments align into a story. And I see that none of it was wasted. Even what hurt me has become part of the testimony that sustains me. Father, memory also fuels hope. When I recall what you have done before, I gain strength to trust you for what lies ahead. If you carried me then, you will carry me now. If you made a way in the desert once, you can open rivers again. If you healed what was shattered before, you can breathe new life into what feels lifeless today. Remembering is not about living in the past, it is about letting the past remind me, you are already in my future. Let me not remember only my own story, but also the stories of those who came before me. Let me recall how faith sustained generations, how love endured across centuries, how your hand guided those who walked paths harder than mine. Their testimonies strengthen me when mine feels fragile. I am part of a larger story, one where remembering becomes a chorus that unites hearts across time. The Lord is faithful. His mercy endures forever. And Father, when my memory falters, when my mind grows clouded with sorrow or confusion, remind me again through your word, through the voices of others, through the gentle whisper of your Spirit. Do not let me forget that I am loved, that I am chosen, that I am never alone. When I forget who I am, remind me whose I am. When I forget what you have spoken, echo it again in the silence until I believe it anew. Today, I choose to carry my memories not as chains, but as treasures. They are not weights to hold me down, but wings to lift me higher. They are proof that even in my frailty, you remain strong. They are evidence that even when I was faithless, you were faithful. They are reminders that my life is not random, but written by hands that do not fail. So as I step into this day, let remembering shape the way I live. Let it steady me when I am anxious. Let it soften me when I am hardened. Let it embolden me when I am timid. Let it quiet me when I am restless. The power of remembering is not in clinging to what has passed, but in using what has passed to fuel trust for what is still to come. And as I remember, let my life itself become a memory for someone else. Let my faith leave traces for another soul to follow. Let my words become echoes of hope in their valleys. Let my kindness become the reminder that they are not forgotten. Because memory is not just for me, it is for the world you love, passed on in whispers and actions, in love that outlives us. Here I stand, Father, surrounded by memories that testify of grace. I will not ignore them. I will not diminish them. I will let them speak, and in their voice I hear yours. I was with you then. I am with you now. I will be with you always. Father, as I reach the closing of this long path of prayer, I pause to feel the weight and wonder of the journey behind me. Each morning, each whisper, each word has been a thread in a tapestry that you have been weaving, sometimes fragile, sometimes strong, sometimes stained with tears, sometimes glowing with hope. And now, Standing here at the edge of this chapter, I realize that what you have been building in me is not a series of moments, but a way of living, a rhythm of trust that carries me into tomorrow. From the first cry of awakening to the quiet release of pain, from learning how to surrender to finding strength in stillness, you have walked me through valleys and lifted me onto heights I did not know I could climb. You have shown me that prayer is not only speaking, but breathing, not only asking, but listening, not only reaching, but resting. It is a living conversation that turns even silence into sanctuary. I thank you for the courage to look honestly at my wounds, for the mercy that has held me when I faltered, for the grace that kept flowing when I ran dry. I thank you for teaching me how to let go, how to forgive, how to remember, and how to walk in freedom. I thank you for peace that does not vanish with the morning sun, but deepens like roots in the soil. Every chapter has been a doorway, and every doorway has led me deeper into the home of your presence. Father, as I close this chapter with my lips, I know the prayer itself does not end. It will continue in every heartbeat, in every quiet thought, in every step that chooses to trust you again. This is not a conclusion, but a beginning. The words may cease for a moment, but the song they carry will go on. For prayer is not bound by language, it is bound by love. To those who have listened, who have walked this road with me, I want to pause and speak directly. Thank you. Thank you for carrying these prayers in your heart, for giving your time, for choosing to lean into this sacred rhythm each day. You have been part of a story larger than words, a story of seeking, of healing, of surrender, of trust. Your presence here has been no accident. You were meant to arrive, to hear, to join this chorus of hope. If these words have touched you, if even one morning felt lighter because of them, I invite you to share what stirred within you. Share your prayers, your reflections, your quiet whispers of faith. Let your voice join this living stream, because together we remind one another that none of us is alone on this path. And as you share, I also invite you to stay, to remain connected. Subscribe to this channel so that you may continue receiving words of light for your mornings, reminders of hope for your nights, and encouragement for the days in between. Share this with someone who may need a gentle word, a reminder that God is still near, that dawn still comes after every darkness. Keep this faith alive, not just for yourself, but as a beacon for others. The journey is not about finishing, but continuing. It is about waking each day to the quiet call that God is present, that His love endures, that His grace still whispers through the noise. As you step out from this prayer, carry with you the certainty that you are seen, you are loved, you are held. And when the road grows heavy again, return. These words will wait for you, as He always does. So I leave you now with the image that has accompanied us all along the morning breaking, the gentle air shifting, the world being washed again in light. Feel it on your skin. The first breeze of the day. See it with your eyes, the horizon softening into color. Hear it with your soul, the silence humming with promise, This is not an end, but another beginning. Walk forward carried by the dawn, and let its glow remind you that faith is not a moment, but a life.